today is another session of what I want to call financial literacy. So this is a session on financial literacy. I know all of you know me on topics related to Uber, Bolt, and digital taxi business in Nairobi. And this video is not different. But, most of the time, I love watching money advisors on YouTube. They are, very well-known figures on YouTube who advise people about how to become financially independent, and not necessarily meaning that you must have all the money in the world for you to be independent, but they advise people on how to manage small amounts of money given the various circumstances that you can encounter in your career life. So if you go on YouTube, you will find advisors like a lady called Susan Wajiko. There is another lady called Rina Hicks, and they talk so much about things to do with how to accumulate an emergency fund. An emergency fund, according to their definitions and according to how I understand it, they said that if you are a person who is employed or a person who is in business, you must ensure that you set aside money that can last you between 12 months or let's say 6 to 12 months, depending on how you assess the difficulty of getting another job in case you lose the one that you have. So what they say is that consider all your money needs for a whole month. Anything that is not related to, to fun, anything that is not related to entertainment. So what they are saying is that look at the money that you spend on paying bills. For instance, paying for rent, buying food, buying electricity, taking your kids to school, and also maybe the mandatory things that you need to pay for instance, insurance. If your money, the money that you spend per month is around, let's say 60K, okay, you must make sure that you have an emergency fund whereby you save money that can survive you for at least 12 months in case you lose the source of income today. And for so many people, that emergency fund is a nightmare because it would require that you set aside around 700K, okay? If, for instance, you spend 60,000 on your mandatory bills, if you spend 60K on your mandatory bills per month, it means you have to set aside around 700,000 so that in case you lose your current job, it could take you up to 12 months before you get another job. So in between that time when you are searching for a job, you don't want to leave yourself exposed. You leave yourself in a situation whereby you are not able to meet your mandatory bills or you are not able to repay your loans, okay, before you get the next job. And for me, that is a very, very brilliant idea. And it can be very, very scary, especially when you finally accumulate the 700,000 and you leave it in a money market fund or you leave it in a fixed deposit account, waiting for that day when you will lose your job for you to use that money. But today I want to bring another new perspective into the idea of emergency fund. It can be very, very scary if you only consider that emergency fund is developed from your one single source of income. That is where the problem comes from. If the idea of telling people to accumulate an emergency fund is, viewed from a single source of income, then it can be very, very difficult for people to buy that idea. But what I tell people is that you can acquire some skills, that are always in demand. And in that unfortunate incident that you lose your single source of income or the only source of income, then you are able to use your secondary skill to get some earnings as you wait to get another opportunity that capitalizes on your key skills. And this is where I always bring in the idea of being a certified taxi driver. Let's come back to the idea of being a PSV driver. This is something that has helped me to eliminate the worry of having an emergency fund. The moment I learned that I can become a taxi driver, then I stopped worrying about whether I need to accumulate an emergency fund or not. Why do I say this? Because I know most people in Nairobi, for instance, who have those bills of like 60K per month. Normally, these are people who would drive, because if the mandatory bills that you pay are 60,000 per month, then it means that your income, your net take home should be around maybe 150K, so that the rest of the money is used in terms of saving, you use it in terms of investment, or maybe you use it for entertainment. So for me, anybody who has an income, a bill of around 60,000 per month, most probably are people who are driving. The type of car you drive could be different, but what I would advise you, okay, and help you build a virtual type of emergency fund is, if you have a car, or if you have a driving license, or for that matter, if you don't have a driving license, you must work towards getting one. Go and get your driving license. The moment you get it, make sure that you obtain all the documentations, obtain all the documents that are required for you to become a taxi driver. And why do I say this? Because if you are a taxi driver who is certified and you have all the documents, and then you have a car, the moment you lose your job, and let us pray that that never happens, the moment you lose that job, it means that the next day you can immediately upload your documents into the digital taxi applications and start driving. And imagine if that car is yours. We have done this mathematics here so many times. If that car is yours, and that is, my point of departure when I'm giving you this advice on a virtual kind of emergency fund. If that car is yours, it means that every day you can drive, let's say 6 hours, you can drive for at least 6 hours, and you can make for yourself maybe 2,000 per day. Okay? This means if you drive for 6 hours during the peak times, and I have done a video explaining those times when you should go online to make sure that you don't waste a lot of time waiting. You only go online when there is high demand, so that you do back-to-back trips and go back to your house and continue the job hunting. So if you work from, let's even wake up at 5 p.m. and work until 11 in the morning, and then go back to the house, and between 12 and 5 p.m., do your job search. Okay? Do your job search. And then the next day, wake up, do the same thing. Tell me whether this 2,000 will not stand in the place of your emergency fund. You get my point? So, and I have seen so many people today in Kenya live without worries, live without fear that when, in any case, they lose their income the next day, or in any case there is maandamano and they don't open their businesses, or in any case there is an incident that prevents them from getting their regular income, what alternatives do they have? You get my point? So this is my advice, and I think this is a very, very critical point towards financial independence and a very, very important financial literacy type of education. In as much as we have those classic way of accumulating emergency funds, I think we must look at open opportunities whereby if we get those skills, we can use them during those career gaps. And I would really want to hear what is your thoughts are with regard to this, because we are always told by our pastor in church that if your dream is to go outside the country, then the moment that dream came into your mind, you should have gone to apply for a passport the following day. But if the thoughts of going abroad have ever crossed your mind and you don't have a passport, then it means that you are just a fanatic. You are just a person who is just saying things without taking action. So one thing I want to advise all of you is that whether you have a car or not, and I know for those people who don't drive, they have those desires inside themselves. Take action today. Go back to a driving school. obtain that regular driving license. Because if you don't obtain these PSV documents, and I want to tell you why you should get these documents right now. If you don't obtain them right now when you have a job, if you lose your job tomorrow, some of these documents can take you up to 3 months before you get them, meaning that those 3 months you will struggle without income. But if you get those documents and you just put it somewhere in a drawer or in a locker for that bad day, then you will be safe. You will not even have a single day of worry. And that's what I would advise everyone. Whether you have not, if you don't have a driving license, go for one. Whether you have a car or not, pursue all those documents and stay with them. It doesn't hurt. In any case, all obtaining the documents that are required for these things, when you do them at your own pace without any pressure of getting a facilitator or using the back doors, it will cost you less than 20,000. It will cost you less than 20K to obtain all these documents. So you go back to school, you get your regular driving license, you apply for PSV badge, is just 1,000. But the issue is that these things can take time before you get them, all of them, because you need like to have 8 documents for you to say that you are going online tomorrow as a taxi driver. So let us educate one another. Let us make sure that, you know, we are each person's keeper. And if this knowledge has helped you, please leave a comment there. And then we keep, you know, educating one another in terms of being financially independent and being educated on matters of money.